Hi, Andrew Lewis, creator of Spiritual Tapping here. And in this video, I'd like to share with you a bit about the process or the method or the technique of spiritual tapping and where it comes from and how to apply it, how to use it, and how it works and how you can benefit from the use of spiritual tapping. So as the second part of the name implies, it does involve tapping. And so that comes from EFT tapping and another technique called matrix reimprinting and another couple of forms of meridian tapping. So it does involve indeed tapping on the meridian points like other meridian tapping techniques. And it also involves connecting with and becoming aware of feelings and sensations and emotions. So it has that body element as well as the thoughts and beliefs and any experiences that we've been through, and some of those experiences may be stressful or traumatic. So in that sense, it's similar to EFT tapping and other forms of meridian tapping techniques. And it also includes the elements of self-acceptance and self-love. And in that sense, it's similar to the EFT tapping technique. And yet the other part of the name is spiritual. And so that part comes from spiritual practices, and that could part of that's from meditation and mindfulness, part of it's from shamanism or the spiritual medicine of our ancestors. And so it's actually a combination, a synergy of a few different modern and ancient techniques, which are either mental and emotional and energetic and vibrational, connected with spiritual practices. So the first part of actually applying the technique is to connect. So the first kind of connection is with the self. So connecting with the here and the now. So that can be becoming aware of the breath, becoming aware of the environment, becoming aware of the sensations in the body, becoming aware of whatever is in the here and the now. So connecting to the senses, what can I see, what can I hear, what can I feel externally and internally. So that's the first step in spiritual tapping. It's actually getting grounded and centered, so we've got a stable base from where we can work. And the next part is connecting to that which is beyond the senses. So that can be done in many different ways. And in fact, there's one thing which is quite interesting about spiritual tapping, is that there is a very clear protocol for the technique, and that's the technique, or one way of using that technique, and that's the one I'm going to be sharing with you in this video. And yet there are an infinite number of ways of applying and using spiritual tapping. So once we've connected to the self and the here and the now, the environment, and to the senses, then we connect to that which is beyond the senses, or that which could be considered as non-physical, so non-body and non-mind, or in other words, spiritual. So connecting to, for example, thank you, Mother Earth. Connecting to the earth or to the ground. Thank you, Father Sky. So connecting below and we're connecting above. Thank you to the four directions. So thank you east, and thank you south, and thank you west, and thank you north. And honoring those directions. Thanking the powers of the place where I'm in. And thank you to the custodians of this place, or the powers of this land where I'm in. And thank you to the custodians, or to the keepers of this land. And they could be the indigenous people, or it could be some other people, or it could also be the keepers, the custodians in the sense of the plants and the trees and nature. So thanking the elements in nature, thanking earth, thanking fire, thanking water, thanking air. Thank you, thank you, thank you to these elements. And other elements, so thank you Mineral Nation, thank you Plant Nation, Thank you, animal nation. Thank you, spiritual nation. And this is all part of the preparation to actually getting ready to use the technique of spiritual tapping. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be done in this order, in this way, every single time. Because once you've made that connection to a place and to the energies of the place, you don't necessarily need to do that again because it's set up. Okay. And so, as I was saying, there are, this can be quite broad and expanded, or it can just be really straight to the point. Okay, so we could even thank the masters, thank the angels, thank the spiritual helpers, thank Great Spirit, or whatever works for you. So if you have any spiritual masters that you would like to invoke, then you can invoke them. My way of invoking, my way of praying is, to me, which is the most powerful form of prayer, which is gratitude, and it's thanking. Okay, so thanking the past generations, thanking Divine Mother, thank you Divine Mother, thank you Divine Father, thank you Mum, thank you Dad, thank you grandmothers, thank you grandfathers, thank you great grandmothers, thank you great grandfathers, thank you to all of the foremothers and forefathers, and thank you to all of the ancestors, and thank you to all of the present generations, all of the brothers and sisters and the cousins, all of the forms of life, and thank you to the future generations. And so again, we could expand this out even further. So thank you Mother Earth, thank you to the planet, and thank you Father Sky, and thank you to the sun, and thank you to the moon, and thank you to the stars, and thank you to the galaxy, and thank you to the universe, and thank you to life itself and the creator of life. And thank you to everything that's ever happened in the existence, everything that ever will happen, that's making this moment possible to be exactly the way it is, here with you and me now. This is all part of the preparation. As I said, it doesn't necessarily need to be done as fully as this every single time. Then we begin with the tapping. Now, as I said, there are an infinite number of ways of actually, and directions of going outward and inward with the spiritual tapping. But the protocol I'm going to walk you through today has part of it. Its inspiration came through the technique of matrix 3 imprinting. So it's tapping on whatever one's going through here and now. So whatever you're feeling right here and now, you get into a resonance and connection and alignment with the feeling, with the vibration, with the energy. Okay, and then from that, you allow yourself to be, I guess, you could almost say teletransported, or you allow yourself to go on a journey in space-time or non-space, non-time. Okay, so we can go to an event that pops up from the subconscious or the unconscious mind, or we can just allow ourselves and just trust that whatever comes up in one's awareness, whether it's something that really happened or just something that's imagined, we go and pay a visit to that part of ourself, of our consciousness, which is coming up for attention, for care, for loving, for healing, for resolution, for transformation, for transmuting, for being part of a process, of an alchemic process, or a process whereby alchemy is being used through love and understanding and awareness and forgiveness and through compassion. Okay, so the tapping is actually initially used to help get into connection with the feelings, and also to allow those feelings to flow, which tend to flow more freely once we've started tapping. Then we go and pay a visit to a specific time or place, or a generic time or place. So as I said, it could be space-time or non-space-time. It could be imagination. And often what comes up for people is a time when they were younger, when they were little, a little boy or a little girl, when they weren't feeling very well, where they either felt scared or afraid, or they felt sad, or lonely or misunderstood or confused, or they felt angry or hurt in some way. They're very often the emotional states that show up for healing and resolution and clearing and resolving and transforming. Okay, so then what one does is imagine to step into the scene. So it's like the Matrix, okay, going into that dimension as you are now, just imagining going in. And this can be beneficial, it can be useful to do it eyes closed, although it depends on the person. Imagining that you see a younger version of yourself, and you just go up and you say, hey, I'm here for you, I'm here with you. I want you to know I'm here with you. I want you to know that I'm here for you, and that I love you, and that I care for you, and that you're not alone anymore. And I know what you're going through. I understand it. I understand how you feel. I understand you because I've been through it, because I am you, and I've come back from the future to help you. So this is the kind of communication that you set up with your younger self. And then what's part of the process or the protocol is inviting into the picture. Okay, that part there is similar to what's done in the technique of matrix reimprinting. And this part is quite different. We invite into the picture Divine Mother and then Divine Father. Now, just to clear up what I mean by Divine Mother and Divine Father, who come in to support the healing process, Divine Mother to me is just all of the love of all of the mothers in the whole world, in the whole universe, not just the mums and the mothers of human beings, but all of the mums and all of the mothers of every form of life, not just on this planet, but everywhere in the whole universe. That to me is what is representing. So it's whatever represents that. That to me is Divine Mother. And therefore, the Divine Father is all of the love of all of the dads and all of the fathers of every form of life. Not just on this planet. So not just all of the love of all the human dads and the human fathers, or the dads and fathers of human beings, but the dads and fathers of every form of life, not just on this planet, but everywhere in the universe, and whatever represents that. So the symbol of infinite, universal, unlimited, unconditional motherly love or maternal love, and the symbol of unlimited, unconditional, infinite, perfect, complete fatherly love or paternal love. That's what those two energies are representing. The perfect love from Divine Mother, the perfect, complete and whole love from Divine Father. And so that's what you imagine yourself being immersed in, being bathed in, being penetrated by, being filled with, being surrounded with. A perfect love of from Divine Mother and Divine Father. Now that's something that we've always had. You've always been that being which is being totally loved by Divine Mother and Divine Father. Yet the awareness possibly wasn't there, may not have been there. And now it is, because you're consciously choosing to invite Divine Mother and Divine Father into this scene or setting where there's this younger version of yourself who so desperately needed to know that he or she was loved and is loved by Divine Mother and Divine Father. And we also bring into the scene the great healer, and that can be a male or a female figure. So whilst tapping, whilst helping the younger version of yourself clear whatever drama, whatever trauma, whatever energy or emotional or psychological or mental or vibrational imbalance or blockage is happening there. And that can be done quite quickly usually, especially with the presence of these powerful beings and that which they represent. Okay, the vibration of a whole, complete, perfect love, male and female, divine male and divine female, sacred male and the sacred female, sacred mother and the sacred father. Okay, so if the love from mum and dad, the human mum and the human dad wasn't enough, that's okay, because the love that comes through the divine mother and divine father is ultimately what we always really needed. Okay, so then there's the tapping on the younger self, and you tap on whatever he or she is going through. So even though you feel really upset, I want you to know I love you and I care for you, and I'm here for you. I'm here for you, and I understand you. You're not alone anymore. And I want you to know that whatever you went through is over, and you survived. And I can tell you that everything's going to be okay. And I can guarantee you that because I'm still breathing, and I've come back from your future. Okay, and suddenly you're tapping, tap, 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 all of these feelings, all of these feelings, all of these feelings, whatever it was that the younger self was going through. And that usually very quickly transforms into something where there's more freedom, and it's a lighter kind of a feeling. And so not only does the feeling in the body change, but also the thoughts will often become thoughts of having greater levels of hope and positivity, and faith and confidence that everything's going to be okay, and everything is okay already. And that can actually happen as quite a fast shift can actually happen there, like boom. And then with the great healer begins just to perform this kind of a movement where she is removing from the younger you that which never was part of you. It never really belonged to you, and he or she removes anything that isn't good for you. So it's removed from you, from that younger version of yourself, from little boy, little girl, who'd taken on stuff which wasn't his or hers. Okay, and so that's taken away, and it's removed, and it's cleared, and it's sent off to the light, sent off to the infinite light, the source of life, that infinite, unlimited light, which cleanses and purifies. And so that's just removed and taken away and sent off, sent away, and it's sent away to be cleansed and purified and healed and transformed and transmuted and resolved. So anything that isn't any good for you, anything you don't want or you don't need, anything that isn't essential for your life and for your evolution, for your growth, anything that limits you or blocks you in any way, it's removed because it's not yours in the first place. Because anything that is truly yours is only ever good for you. So the rest of it, all of that stuff that you don't need, that's no good for you, it's removed and taken away. Okay, and the great healer is able to do that because she is in the presence of a completely protected and safe area. And so you are totally and completely protected and safe. So you can let that younger version of yourself know it's over now. It happened and it's over, and now you're safe. You're safe to let go. So there's nothing that he or she needs to do other than just allow it to happen. And the great healer and the presence of the Divine Mother and Divine Father and the tapping process, which is actually facilitating all this, it's making it all flow that much better and all be corrected that much more smoothly. So then the next part of that is bringing into the picture. So you're connected with this younger version of yourself, and you can share with this younger version of yourself, this little boy, this little girl, that which you know now that you didn't know then. That if only you had known. So what is it? What is there that you know now that you didn't know then? That if only you'd known, everything would have been very different. Well, maybe not everything, and things would have been so different, they probably would have been much better if only you had known. And now, what is there that you know now that you didn't know then, that if only you had known, things would have been so different. And those things could be something which may seem trivial, but which aren't, like you're okay. It's all gonna be okay. You aren't wrong. You are okay the way you are. You are loved, even though it might seem sometimes you're not loved. What is there now that you can share with this younger version of yourself? That if only he had known, only she had known, everything would have been totally different. And then there's another element we can bring in, and that's bringing in a future self. So a part of yourself. So imagine an older version of you. Now, I don't know your age, so it could be that you imagine someone who's 20 years older than you, or 40 years older than you, or 10 years older than you. What is important, I feel, is that you invite into the picture, into the scene, a version of yourself which is even wiser than you are, which is even more full of peace, and more full of love, and more full of joy, and more full of compassion and understanding and empathy and gentleness and kindness and strength and courage and faith and confidence, even more full of all of those wonderful qualities of awareness. And that's the direction that you're choosing to go in now. So this future version of yourself is going to be and is a being with all this light, all of this light that he or she is emanating to you. And you know, he or she looks at you and goes, wow, you are so beautiful. You are wonderful. Just like you, when you see this younger version of yourself, this little boy, this little girl that you were, and you see this little version of yourself, and my heart is so full of love. I'm here for you. I'm here with you. And this older version of yourself, this wiser version of yourself, is so full of love and light for you. And what can he or she share with you about your future and about your now? So maybe he or she could say to you, hey, whatever you're going through, it's going to be okay, you know. And I can tell you this for sure because I've seen your future. And whatever you're going through, it's over now from her perspective in the future. So chill. And so what else? What happens now when the older version, this really wise and aware and mature version of yourself, who's got all of this hindsight and perspective, thanks to maturity, thanks to learning, thanks to life lessons, thanks to all of the teachings that all of the teachers out there and in here have offered to you, what is there that he or she can help you understand from her coming back to you from the future? Just like you can go back and with your hindsight and with your wisdom and experience and all of the life learnings and lessons and teachings, you can tell the younger version of yourself, the little boy, the little girl, it's going to be okay. You will survive it, and this experience is something which can help us here. Okay, what is there? And actually now what happens? So now as part of the protocol, the older self and the younger self meet, and just notice what happens there. And usually what happens is there's a look in the eye and a smile, and there's just, so it depends with different people. It takes a slightly different path, but sometimes it'll just be a caress, like a pat on the head or on the shoulder. Sometimes it'll be a hug. Sometimes there's laughter. Sometimes there's crying. There's no wrong or right way. It is what it is, and it's all perfect. And usually it's just an exchange of love and beauty and appreciation and reassuring each other and gratitude. And then another part of the protocol is actually going to a moment in time. So going back to the time when matter and spirit were joined or became one or fused. So when life on the planet began for you in the form that you are now. So it's when Divine Mother and Divine Father came through physical and human mum and dad, or mother and father, and the human being that you are now started to take form. So it was in a moment of love, and there was a union or a joining where male energy and female energy connected, and a new life began. So in that moment, go back to that moment, so the moment of conception or creation, and have this very, very, very old version of yourself, like a great-grandparent. So it's like when you're looking at yourself, if you're a man, it's like you're looking at your great-granddad, or if you're a woman, you're looking at your great-grandmum, or grandfather, grandmother, or great-great-grandfather, great-great-grandmother. And they're back with this little boy, this little girl, and then there's also bringing into that scene together is this version of yourself, which is the very beginning, the smallest, the very beginning. So we've got these two, like the alpha and the omega, the opposite ends, the antipodes, the extreme ends, where there's the youngest and the oldest versions of the self as a human form on this planet. And with them, they have massive wisdom. And they actually have a lot in common, because they're getting, one's just come from the spiritual into the physical material plane. The other has lived all of the possible experiences on the physical and material plane, and is getting ready to go back into the spiritual domain or plane or dimension. So, and here we are in the middle as the man, woman that you are, wise and aware, and on your journey as a soul and as a mind and a body, doing your best to bring forth your fullest potential. And so with that intention, that my intention is to bring forth my fullest potential, to share my gifts and talents, which my unique gifts and talents, my God-given, my soul-given, my life-given, or goddess-given, unique talents and unique gifts that only I have, and share them with reality, with life, with the world, with the planet, with every form of life that I come into contact with, joyfully and joyously. And that's what I am here for. So, who am I and why am I? Why am I here? And back then, you knew that. You knew who you were, and you knew why you were. So we go back, and then what happens for a lot of people is something happens along the way, and they get lost, and they forget who they are, and they forget why they are. They forget their primary, so their external and their internal purpose. So what is the life purpose? So then we can get back to the older version of the self with all of that wisdom, all that worldly wisdom, and the youngest version of the self with all of the spiritual wisdom. Okay, and say to this soul, or to the pure consciousness that you were in that moment of conception, where all was known, where nothing was forgotten yet, or untrained, or trained into you to forget, or to believe stuff that may not have been true. And the great healer is removing all that. It's just being sent away, being freed, creating more freedom and freedom, okay, from anything which is not you. So all that is not you is being removed and sent away, and sent away, and sent away. Anything that's not good for you, anything that's not wholesome is removed and cleared and sent away. Freedom, sent off to the light, where it's purified, where it's cleansed, where it's healed, where it's transformed, where it's transmuted, and cleaned. So then we go back to this the youngest version of the self, and say, I need your help. I'm in this life and I'm in this material existence, and I seem to have become disconnected from my soul or pure consciousness or the awareness that I am primarily, first and foremost, I am a spiritual being, and I'm having a physical and psychological with mind-body experience. And can you help me remember and see who I am? Okay. So that connection is brought into the setting with this younger version of yourself. Okay. Now, explaining it takes a lot longer than actually doing it. Okay. So we will do it. I'm just going through expanding out, all of the parts that are involved in this part of the protocol. And again, spiritual tapping has infinite applications and ways of being applied, and this is one of the protocols one of the ways of doing it. So, coming to the soul, the oldest version of yourself, and bring them together. And then going to the little boy, the little girl that you were, and saying, yeah, you were really suffering in this point in time, and you may still be doing all the tapping. And if I could give you a magic wand, like let's just imagine we had a magic wand, and I just happened to find a magic wand here. If I could take this magic wand and perform a miracle or a magical function with this, what would you like? What would you absolutely love? So you could totally transform and change what it was that happened. How would you do that? And so the little boy, little girl gets the magic wand, and you give it to them. And you don't even need to explain it, because they know fantasy and imagination and magic. Little kids know this stuff. It doesn't need to be explained to them. And then we forget, we get serious. Oh, that's just silly. That's just nonsense, magic and miracles. But the little kid doesn't. See, and that's the cool thing about healing. If you can imagine it, if you can imagine a healing, it can happen. Okay, so it's like transforming things. If you can imagine transforming something, it can be transformed into that which you imagine. Okay, so what happens then? The little kid gets it and takes this magic wand, yay, and goes shoo, and transforms whatever it was into the ideal scene from her perspective, from what he or she thought he or she needed, but definitely what he or she wanted. So little girl, little boy that you were, takes a magic wand and goes and transforms it. So that scene or that film which you used to play, or that story which you used to tell, now gets totally, completely transformed and shifted, like an alchemic process, instantaneously shifted. Okay, so now you notice with the new scene, notice how all of the lights changed and the colors are different. And the expression on people's faces have changed, and even the thoughts and the feelings that the various people there, and their actions and the words, it's all significantly shifted just by imagining getting a magic wand and of course there's the presence of the Divine Mother and Divine Father. And of course there's the tapping, which is facilitating all of the shift and changing. And of course there's you consciously intending to love and accept and honor and appreciate yourself, and to heal and to forgive and let go. And of course there's the great healer who's taken away and sending off to the light to be transformed and healed and transmuted and purified and cleansed and cleared and cleaned and resolved and let go of and let flow of and freedom. All of that's taking place. And yet we still haven't come to the solution yet, because we don't necessarily want to give or allow that child to have what he or she wanted, but what's needed, what is really needed. Okay, and sometimes, kids don't even know what's best for them. And what children really need is they need love and protection and care, and they need to be understood, and they need to feel that they're important. Okay, and that needs to come from people who are able to give them that. So that's where we can take a magic wand and again perform miracles and magic and make the impossible possible, because that's what miracles are about. Just changing one's imagination or just fantasizing about something, and let's play with that. So imagine, again, the magical wand can perform miracles and magic, okay? and just taking that. So, and this time, however, we're going to ask the young boy, young girl that you were, this little version, younger version of yourself, what he wanted and what he or she thinks or thought he needed or needs. But then also consider right now, as an adult, as the man, the woman that you are, and also the oldest version of yourself, okay? This really old and wise, worldly wisdom person that you will become, that you are becoming now, thanks to the choices to step up and do what's required to become the best version of yourself, as well as the soul that you were, and the pure consciousness and that connection of the big picture, like universally, what is my purpose here? What is my mission here? Okay, and with that big picture, all of the experiences that one signs up for, that you signed up for in this life, so you could learn those lessons. So what is there? What is it that this experience offered you so that you could learn from this experience? So now, what did that younger version of yourself really need? And what did he or she learn from that experience? What was the negative or the limiting decision, the painful decision that was made? What belief was formed from that? How has it affected you up until now? Or how did it affect you in the past? And how now are you going to change because you're choosing to learn from that experience? And it may have been an upsetting experience, so it could be one event, or it could be repeated events or episodes, or it could be just a situation that lasted for a period of time, a short or a long period of time. Okay, and so how can all of that now be used as, all right, that happened, and I'm going to make sure it serves me, and it becomes a powerful and positive and useful resource to help me and help others create a better existence for myself, for others, for the planet. Okay? And then so with that intention, and with the help of Divine Mother, Divine Father, the Great Healer, as well as the initial version of yourself, the youngest and the oldest versions of yourself, the child that you were and the man, woman that you are now, together making a joint effort, how can we transform that which was in that past, in that moment, into something which offers true 100%, 360-degree healing? And so it's like, and transform that now. And notice how everything shifts. And so now, what is the positive learning? And notice the Great Healer begins to use the other hand. And he starts giving back to you. Because he's finished, actually. He's removed all of that which was no longer serving you. All of that which was no good for you. That had, it finished. Here's to your health. Thank you, water. Thank you, cleansing. So he's removed everything that needed to be taken away. He's taken it away and sent it away. And it's freed, freedom, freedom. And now he's giving back to you. And it's coming from the light. That which is truly yours, that which truly belongs to you. And you are taking ownership. You are reclaiming it, and you're saying, yes, this is mine. So what's coming to you now from the light, from the life, from the infinite source of light and life? What's coming to you now, that you are just simply accepting and owning and claiming and allowing yourself, giving yourself the permission because you deserve it, you are worthy of it, because it's your right, it's your birthright. But even before that, it was your right from the moment you began to exist, to be. It's part of your essence. So you're getting that given back to you, and you are saying, yes, I accept it, I take it, I claim it, I own it, I take it back, this is mine, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so you take back all of your resources, all of your energy, all of your power, all of your strength, all of the force, the life force, anything that you lost, anything that had been taken away, or anything that you just didn't know was yours. You take that back now, and you allow it to integrate into your mind, body, system, life, wherever it needs to be, however it needs to be for you now. Okay, and so take again the magic wand, and this time you do it. Don't give it to the little boy, little girl that you were, but you do it consciously and go and change the past. Create something completely different in the past now, where that younger version of yourself really gets it, and gets also what he or she really needed. So that's going to be love and understanding and a feeling of safety, and everything's okay and everything's going to be okay. Okay. And so, what are the new learnings there now? What are the new awarenesses? So it's not just changing that event back then, but noticing that changes a timeline. From before that moment, from that moment up until now, and from now up until your future, until the end of your time on this planet, in this body, in this form. And so a series of events shift and change, and the changes happen in all directions. So it's an interactive shift and change, and a multi-directional shift and change in all directions of space and time. And so notice now, as you look at the scene or the event or the episode, there's so much that's changed in your awareness of how you're perceiving it, how you're looking at it, and what's the new choice, the new decision that you make now that's empowering, that gives you power. And back, once upon a time, that did limit you, but it's not now. That's becoming a resource, a strength. And you are choosing to take back all of those opportunities and all of the possibilities that you'd ever lost, or that you'd ever given away, or that you just didn't know were yours for the taking, yours for the living, yours for the being, yours for the becoming. And now you're accepting and owning and allowing yourself, just permitting yourself to have all of that which is truly yours, because it's your right. And I would say, if there is such a thing as a responsibility or even a duty, then that's it. It's to be your full, true, authentic self. So thank you to the magic, miraculous wand for the miracles and the magic and the powers. And thank this younger version of yourself. And you'll probably find that he or she is very grateful to you. So there's love and gratitude going on in more than one direction. Thank the older version of yourself. Thank you. I love you. And he, she is grateful to you and proud of you. And so loves you. And thank the healer who's now finished, and you've completed this healing, accepting all of that which is truly yours and allowing it in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank the younger version, thank the initial version of yourself. Thank your soul, the pure consciousness that you are. Thank the great healer. Thank Divine Mother. Thank Divine Father. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank yourself. And I would like to thank you, and I would like to thank me. So there's an explanation of one of the protocols for spiritual tapping. Okay, and so it's been an honor for me to share this with you. I give and gift everything about spiritual tapping freely in more than one sense of the word. Freely in the sense that it doesn't cost any money, and freely because it's free and it's freeing. This will give you more freedom than many other things, than any other thing that I know of, because you are releasing and letting go of that which is not you. And then you are reclaiming and intending and choosing to be who you really are. And I live just by free donations. So when someone wants to give me and can give me a donation, that's how I get by. And so if you feel that you can and it would bring you joy to give me a donation to help me with this project of sharing spiritual tapping with as many people as possible, because I believe that this planet and world can become a much better place to the extent that we awaken and that we free ourselves from that which is not us. So that's part of why I am sharing this completely freely, and that's part of why, or mainly why, I'm asking you, I need help to make sure this project is sustainable and so that it can reach as many souls and beings, therefore human beings, therefore people, as possible. And those souls who awaken by clearing what is not them and connecting with who they truly are, they will then go on and affect positively the lives of other souls. And they will be human beings and other beings as well. So it's something that can actually help. I feel that my experience has been that people who've started practicing spiritual tapping have found, I've noticed, and they've found that they tend to be more peaceful and loving and joyful to themselves and to other people, and then to other forms of life on this planet. And that's what I so love about this this joy, this work, this love that I'm sharing. If you can help me make it sustainable on a material level, then there's a link below where you can find out how you can give a free donation and make your contribution. And there are different ways of contributing to this spiritual tapping project other than just giving money or payments. There are other ways you can share and help out with this project. So again, thank you for that, and thank you for doing the work on yourself to heal, release, clear and transform and let go of that which isn't you, and reconnect and realign with that which is you, and showing up and sharing this with joyfully, and showing up and in sharing your unique joys and talents and gifts joyfully and joyously and lovingly with other people, because that's actually what it's all about. That's what we're here for. Thank you for this opportunity.